Lawrence, it's good to see you here at
nice
the Weisenhauss.
Nice to be here.
When I started my sort of journalism career and ChessBase India began, I was following all the things that you were doing. You were commentating, in fact, at the World Championship in 2013.
Right.
You were the official commentator along with Tanya, Ramesh, Susan. You also, at some point, were managing Caruana.
That's right. Yep, I was.
You have
few years ago.
done many video courses for ChessBase, Chess24. I'm sure for some other.
Yep.
Also maybe
Yep.
Chessable. I'm not
Chessable,
sure.
I've done a couple of courses as well. Yeah.
So, and what are you up to right now?
Great question.
And
that's a great question.
I also want to go back in time and sort of understand your life, because you've done so many things, like as a dynamic personality in the world of chess. You're also an IM.
Yeah, well, yeah.
With 2 GM norms, if I'm not
That's true.
mistaken.
Yeah. I mean, I've been taken by surprise. I didn't expect the live interview. Wow. Where to start? I mean, yeah. So chess is still a big part of my life. As you said, Saga, 2013 was a massive year for me. I'd already been commentating quite a lot. I was just actually talking to a few people here. Frederic Friedel, I met years and years and years ago when I started doing my ChessBase DVDs. I think my first ChessBase DVD was probably about 20 years ago now.
Really?
Yeah, I think a very, very, very long time ago. I've done about 10 or 12 ChessBase DVDs, always enjoyed going to Hamburg. I lived in Hamburg.
Yes.
I moved to Hamburg in 2014 because that's when Chess24 started, and I had a kind of full-time role at Chess24 as a content producer, doing commentary with Jan Gustafsson mostly at the beginning, and then doing courses and the like. And as you said, in 2013, it was a breakthrough year for me because it was the candidates in London, which I commented, and the World Championship in Chennai. And it was an honor to go to Chennai. And of course, my dear co-commentator Tanya is somewhere here, currently commentating
up there
in the barn, commentating. I'll say hello to her. Yeah. So that was 10 years ago now. Oh, more. Oh my God, we're in 2024. More than 10 years ago. And that's, of course, a very memorable event because it marked the start of a new era in chess, and the Carlsen era, as we like to call it.
I think it was you or Tanya, maybe someone who said those words, it's the start of a new era, and it's very popular.
Well, it really was. I mean, and Magnus has dominated this game for years.
Right.
As you also correctly said, I had the opportunity to work with Fabi, and we partnered for a few years, and that was very successful, and we're still on great terms. I just saw him, and we're very good friends, and I'm still doing a little bit of chess, but I've got life, things happen, and sometimes you change direction, and I'm actually here with my I don't want to say work colleague, really my boss, where I'm now working for a digital asset fund. So I've gone from the world of chess to the world of investing and finance, and that's not a completely unusual route for some chess players. But working for a fund, of course, is a full-time job and completely different. But I enjoy it, and it's a good company and a good team. And Johannes, who is here with me, who has a very important role working for one of Germany's entrepreneurial families. He's actually a big chess player, big chess fan, and the reason I'm working for that company is because I didn't apply for the company. I didn't apply for a new job at all. He recognized me thanks to ChessBase, because he was a big client of ChessBase, has a lot of DVDs, and he saw me one day in Berlin and he said, "Are you Lawrence Trent?" And I went, "Yeah." And he said, "Oh, I'm a big fan of your DVDs, big fan of your courses." I said, "That's really nice." And then we just started talking, and then he told me about his businesses, and after some more conversations, it was clear that there might be, you know, an opportunity to work together. So I'm doing that full time now, but I'm still, you know, I still have some students, which is nice, and of course I still watch the tournaments, and we work in Berlin, and we had a meeting in Hamburg, so it made sense to come up here to Weisenhauss as well, and it's so beautiful. I mean, it's so professional here. That's the thing that I think is most, most impressive, and it's so clean, and there's a perfectionist element, and there are small touches. Your viewers have probably seen, like inside, they have their own cabins, and all of these, like, it's a really nice feeling. So, Mr. Bodhana, who is clearly a big fan of Chess 960 and chess, and his intentions to create more tournaments and a tour, I mean, it's only good news. So yeah, that's I've spoken there for 5 minutes without talking, but that's kind of a summary of things.
Wonderful. I'll deep dive into few of the points.
Yeah, please do.
One of them is that you at some point wanted to become a GM. I think you were actively pursuing it. So what happened there?
Yeah, great question. Well, the truth is that when I was in my early 20s, I was pretty much near enough 2500.
Yeah, 2470, right?
No more. I was actually at one point, I think my live rating was about 2495. So I was really, really close. I was playing tournaments around Europe, Hungary, Spain, France, you know, the typical stuff. And clearly, I was half decent, and at some point it became, I just wanted to like get a job as well, like get some work. And it's tough traveling around just playing tournaments. You're broke all the time. You have just, you have a disappointing result, and then you lose a few points, and it's like, and at some point, and I just said, well, maybe I should get a job. And in hindsight, I probably made a very bad decision, because I was still super young, in my 20s. I was so close to getting the GM title, and I just didn't do it. And I did it the wrong way around. And I would actually recommend any young players who are in my position, if you've got the opportunity to go for a title or, achieve a goal, and you're still very young, do that. Don't feel like you're obligated to go into the world of work, because the world of work will always be there, but you won't always have the opportunity to get your titles. That's the point. And now, well, I'm still in the same situation, but I'm 100 points lower. I'm 100 points lower rated, so already to get the rating is a big ask.
I can feel you, because I'm in a similar
You're
situation.
in the same boat, right?
So I know it's not easy. At the same time, you want to maybe do it, but it's like dedicating a year or so of your life.
Right. So basically, the idea is that at some point I will have a year sabbatical.
You will do it.
Yeah, I will do it, because Saga, we can talk about. Well, because it's the only true personal goal from in a chess sense, from the chess world. It's the only thing that I feel is missing for me to be completely content with my adventure in this world. I mean, I've got no. I'm not deceiving myself in any sense. I'm not going to be 2650. I'm not going to be world champion. I'm not going to do some crazy things. But getting the title, I think, is in my reach, and it's still a prestigious title, and it's something that would make my parents happy, especially my dad, and it would make me happy. It's the thing that's missing, really. I've had the privilege of doing some wonderful things in this world, managing Fabi, commentating the best tournaments, meeting some of the best players ever, being in that orbit for so many years. It's a privilege and an honor. And, the only thing missing from after all the years playing is this, and I have to try it. I have to do it. Otherwise, I won't actually be able to rest easy if I if I don't. So let's see. I don't know when that will happen. I know there are a lot of people that still want to bet against me. So when I put it on Twitter, a lot of people are like, how much do you want to bet that you won't do it? So all of you guys...
You like to put it on Twitter.
That's all right.
Like to
I'll put it on Twitter.
Yes?
I'll do it. I'll do it because I'll do it. I'll do it for the fans. But anybody who wants to bet against me, the bank account will be open one day in the future, and we can come to some arrangement. But look, it's a young man's game. It's clear. It's becoming more and more difficult.
Of course.
But it's still possible. It's still possible. I'll need to do a lot of work. But I think it's something I've got to try. I've got to try. Let's see. Nothing's guaranteed, but I think I can do it. I think I can do it.
Do you feel this, that let's say when you were commentating,
Yeah.
you would be one of the best in the world, only then you could be at the World Championship, at candidates, I've listened to your commentary, it's funny, it's so much informative, there's a flow to it.
Yeah.
And now you are not commentating.
Yeah.
Is it like you start something, you become really good at it,
Yeah.
and then you decide, okay, I want to switch. Is that kind of the thing that happens to you, or is it's not intentional?
Yeah, I mean, as I said, I kind of have changed career path unintentionally, if I'm honest. But look, I had many good years commentating. I would still do some events. I mean, I'm not ruling it out. It's possible that I come back and do some events if somebody wants me, if an organizer that I'm very close to wants me. But clearly there are now a pool of very talented, younger, I should say, commentators who do a fantastic job. You know, especially the guys from Chess24, Chess.com, who are great. There are loads of, there's good competition now as well. That's the other thing that was different when I was doing the commentary stuff. There weren't so many young guys doing it, but now there are quite a lot, and fair play. But who knows what the future holds? Maybe I'll do a few events. We'll see what happens. I don't know.
Coming to your relationship with Fabi as a manager, this is a very sort of a soft subject also. It's a personal one because many times when you work with someone as a manager, it's a very close relationship.
Yeah.
How was that experience for you? What did you learn from it? And because nowadays we see many players having managers, but back then perhaps it was not that common, was it?
Yeah, there were a few. So Magnus was kind of with Espen and his father. Yes. There was some other. Sergey had a manager, I think. Maybe there were a few others, but it was kind of quite low key. My time with Fabi was overall a very positive one. We achieved a lot. He nearly qualified to play the World Championships when I was with him. He just missed out in the Moscow candidates.
Yes. Last
round, he needed to beat Karyakin with black because of the tie-break rules of how it worked, even though they were even on points. So it didn't work out, but there was a lot of preparation that went into that, and I became very close with Fabi. And I became close with especially Rustam, who was his coach at the time, and we went everywhere together. And as you probably saw when I came in here, we give each other a hug. It's a lot of time has passed. That ended in 2016, I believe. So it's already been 7-8 years. It's incredible to think. And as I said, I wish Fabi all the best. I've always rooted for Fabi, and what I learned was, there are a few things. Perhaps in many ways, when we first separated, it was difficult because we'd grown so close together. It was more than just a client business kind of relationship. It was much more than that. It was much more personal. Yeah. Fabi I saw as, a brother almost. So it was tough at the beginning, but I've never been one to hold a grudge or anything like that. Perhaps in retrospect, perhaps we got too close. Maybe it was too intimate in the sense of, you know, it was a personal relationship as well, right? It wasn't just me trying to find sponsors for him or me trying to organize the best conditions for tournaments. It was much more than that. I tried to be his older brother, basically, and open him up to things in life, which was actually one of the objectives of the partnership. It wasn't just about, you know, business. It was about growth. So when I see Fabi now, I see him flourishing like he is. He's a you know, such a well-rounded guy. You know, when I started working with him, theoretically, I mean, he was still a young guy in his very early 20s and coming out of his shell. So it's great to see him now. Obviously, he then qualified to play Magnus in the World Championship. Didn't win, but he'll be back. He's already back, as he's shown recently, back to world number 2. Nobody really ever doubted his quality and his talent. So yeah, but it is tough. I guess finding that balance is really tough between, you know, being too personal and keeping it as a business relationship. That's one thing that I think in the future, if I were to ever work with somebody again, I would try and find a bit more of an optimal balance. That's the key takeaway.
I can actually understand this because somewhere, I mean, I work with my wife together. We have this working relation because we work for the same, like we founded together the company. But we also are husband and wife.
Right.
And at some point there are these things which get personal at that point, then rather than having an objective viewpoint. So it's not easy.
No.
But it also is very beautiful when such a relationship blooms, because then there are no transactional thoughts. It's more like it's flowing.
That's true. And I can tell you this, that on some of his big victories, you know, tournament victories or specific games, the pride I had was one of a father, actually. That's how I'm not a father, but it's how I believe I would feel seeing, you know, somebody succeed. My son succeed, let's say. It was real, true, unadulterated, pure pride. But I understand completely what you mean. Finding the balance is tough, but you know, we're all here still. We're all doing fine, so that's the important thing, I guess.
But was there a particular reason why you decided to work with him? You saw potential in him, or what?
Well, the predominant reason actually was I met him. I had already known him for a few years because I was commentating on some of the big tournaments. I met him at the Grenka Chess Classic that was in Baden-Baden. I met him at London, and there was at some point he just had this phenomenal Sinkfield Cup performance. And he was world number 2, and he was rated 2840 or something insane. And he just didn't have a kind of team or a brand at all. And actually it was Dave Norbert, top English GM, he said, you know what, why don't you try and help Fabi? And I said, actually, that's not a bad idea. And I'd been working in London for a while at that time, because I wasn't just commentating, I had a day job as well. And I thought, do you know what? He's so likable, he's such a nice guy, he's such a talent. Why can't we, you know, try and build up his profile a little bit? So that's what I did. I approached him and his parents and his dad in particular, and I said, let's try and, you know, get Fabi the support he deserves, because he didn't have any. It was crazy. It was 2840. He had no sponsors, no support, not the support network like he has now. And so, you know, one thing led to another, and that's how it all evolved. And then I started to be a bit more, hands-on, and the relationship got closer, and yeah, that's how it all developed, really. So, but I don't no regrets at all. I mean, no regrets. Great guy.
Thank you for sharing this. But also, there are so many young talents I see in India and across the world who struggle in this same thing. They are not as big as Fabi is, but they are talented. They are 26, 50. They are still maybe in their 15, 16. So, what is it that you would advise their managers to do?
Wow.
Because I think you faced the same issue with Fabi at the start, right? You have to build up the profile, you have to approach people.
With Fabi it was very particular though, right? Because he was world number 2 and he just had this amazing performance. Everybody knew who he was and everybody thought, wow, he could genuinely be world champion. For the guys that are in the mid 2600s, it's still really tough because you're a great player, but you're the middle of the pack still. And especially in India where you've already got, your big 5, let's call it the big 5 now, who are, so popular and so famous and rightly so. So I think if you're 2650 level, it's probably still a bit too early to really start thinking about building a huge brand. But again, it depends if you offer something special. If you've got as we say, a USP, right? If you've got a unique selling point, whatever that may be, that's what you would have to focus on. There's just so many young talents now, so many brilliant players. I mean, I can talk about, here, you'll know what I'm going to say now, but Bodhana from the UK, who I only met Bodhana last year, and I saw her play in December live. I saw her play live at the London Chess Classic. Had a dinner this year, and she was invited. She'd just won the World Under-8 Championships, I believe it was, or was it the Under-10? It was either Under-8 or Under-10, I can't quite remember. And she played Blitz against a number of GMs, IMs who was there. And I honestly was just watching it thinking, what is this that I'm seeing? Because this is just not normal. She was just outplaying really good players like IMs, GMs. And after that, we've just seen her results, right? Top woman player in the world, in the European Rapid, I think it was.
Yeah.
Top female player, not just top junior, top female. Beating IMs, holding GMs.
Yes.
So she, for example, is a super special talent who I know, people in the UK are trying to protect her as well. But she has got, for me, I've never seen anything like it. Not at that age, young. Obviously, I hate to say it, for a young girl to be that strong as well, it doesn't come around that often. And so for somebody like her, I would certainly, if I were her parents, depending on how things developed over the next few years, but if she's already a GM by 12 or 13, I would start thinking about future plans for, if she really wants to make a career of this, which she probably will have to. I mean, if she's going to be, if she's got the talent to be the greatest, well, she'll be the greatest UK player of all time. That's not really even a question. If she continues, the question is she going to be the greatest of all time female? And this video in 10 years' time might be legendary or not, but I'm actually going to say she is. I'm actually going to put my neck out and say, if she is nurtured and protected and advised in the right way, what I saw was beyond magic. Beyond, it was a way of. It was just like Carpo, like she was just outplaying GMs who've got 30 years of experience. Nothing made sense. So you know, the reason I'm telling this story, of course, is because you asked what can young players do and USP. Well, she has got a very specific USP, right? The question is actually the market big enough to have managers for players, young, good players who are 26, 50? I'm not sure we're there yet. I don't think the market is mature enough yet. We're not at a place where we're a football or we're a tennis, where even if you're number 150 in the world in tennis, you can have a manager and you can have decent sponsorship. I don't think we're there yet. But of course, let's see how the sport develops. Let's see where Prag and Gukesh and Vidit, who is fantastic, one of my favorite players. Let's see how far they can take things, because we all saw how much influence and effect Vishy had. If this causes just a major boom of chess starting in India, for example, wonderful, that's great. And if we suddenly get massive companies, I mean, I know Prag just agreed a huge deal.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know the exact figures, but my understanding is it's just a huge deal. If we get loads of corporations suddenly jumping on board, and with the Indian Prime Minister tweeting about chess and Sachin Tendulkar often, tweeting about chess, it's a great moment, especially in India. I know I'm focusing on that part, but because that's really where the major talents at the moment are coming from. Of course, we still have others. We've got Vincent Kmar here. I mean, look at Vincent, yeah. Unbelievable player. Abdusaturov is here, unbelievable player. It's a question of market maturity, visibility of the game, getting it as mainstream, let's say, as possible. And then we'll see scalability of the market. But it's a good time for chess. That's no doubt.
I love how you roll your insights with also this very exciting point where you said, I'm going to go out there and say Bodhana will be the greatest women player ever.
Well,
it's beautifully put. Brings a lot of excitement to the viewers.
No,
I think that's how
I'm not just saying it for clicks, because listen, sure. I've been around in this game now. I'm approaching 40. I've been around in this game for a while. I've seen great young players everywhere. I've taught great players. I've been around, and it's this particular player. I've never seen what I saw. You also are in that position, Sega, where once you reach a certain level in chess, and you can appreciate the brilliance.
Yes.
You can appreciate the brilliance, and I saw something where I was literally I was watching it. I remember I was watching it. I had a glass of wine, obviously. I had a glass of wine, and I was watching her, and I just had to watch her. I had to watch her play. Mm. And no other junior in recent times has made me want to do that. None. Even if they are now super strong IMs or GMs, none. I was watching her crush, and yeah, what can I say? I know I've put my neck out, and if she doesn't become the greatest of all time, I'm sure in 20 years time I'm going to be getting hate mails. But
no, but I have interviewed her, and I know what you're talking, and she is special.
She's very special. Yeah. So, very special. So
and the way in which, last thing I want to ask you, the way in which you put this out, and with all your experience you have, what do you feel about Chess 960 becoming a full-fledged future of chess? Because clearly an ecosystem for standard chess exists, but here we are at the cusp of something new beginning.
Really, yeah. With
all your experience, do you think this is likely to happen?
So it's a really difficult thing to answer. What I can say is that there probably has to be some adjustments, because there are some positions in 960 that probably objectively aren't that good to play. So there could be a way, for example, where you narrow down the the selection of positions by a certain amount, and
which is why the name Freestyle. So they can actually sort of change around
They can
things.
change around. I mean, in principle, I love the idea of just playing from a novel position with no theory. I just played myself last weekend. I played the German Chess 960 Championships in Berlin, where I now live. And I was doing very well. I was on 3.5 out of 4. I didn't win it, but there were some very good players. I played Bluebaum, I played Friedman, I played Shakachiev, I played a number of decent GMs. Everybody enjoyed the tournament. It's so nice to wake up to a fresh position and not have to think about theory and, 3 hours before the game prepare. So has this format got legs? I would say yes. Is it going to overtake traditional chess? That much I don't know, but at some point, if we get with the AI revolution ongoing, the speed at which we are solving traditional chess, where are we going to be in 10 years? Is it going to now be is it just going to be too solved or too much theory memorization where you can't get any creative games? Well, if that's the case, we need a solution or an alternative, and this is clearly one of them. And again, I just can't really work out if this is going to overtake chess. But one thing, traditional chess. But one thing I can say is, I think it will be around for a very long time, and it will get more popular. And thanks to Jan Bodhana, and thanks to the efforts of other people as well.
Also Magnus, who's kind of pushing it in a big way.
Absolutely, thanks to Magnus, Jan, and others who are pushing it. I can see it definitely getting more popular. It's going to be a really difficult job for FIDE, I think, and for the chess leadership to work out where this variant fits in its overall vision. Should it be the priority? Should it be secondary? Or otherwise? Should there be a different rating system for it, for example? I mean, a rating system already is kind of necessary, in my opinion, for Chess 960. But it's exciting, and again, we need to think of ways to keep this brilliant game alive and vibrant and dynamic, and why not? Why not? So we'll see. But great to be here, such a beautiful tournament, such a beautiful setup. So the future is bright. The future is bright.
And thank you, Lawrence, for your time, for opening up, and time for Chessboxing now.
Yeah, I've got to do that now as well. Yeah, that's another thing I didn't realise was happening. But there's a little Chessboxing session today. I'm absolutely shattered. I've had about 4 hours sleep, but I won't make excuses now. I'll get my ass to the training and enjoy a bit of Chessboxing.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.